All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon and Bullshit Live, episode 1 for the DrinkCurious community. Welcome, everyone. We appreciate you joining us tonight. I'm going to introduce the rest of the group with me tonight. So I've got with me tonight, we have Aaron Petrie. Say hey, Aaron.
Hello. I'll be the first person to say, oh, sorry, I was on mute.
We got Bob Bennett.
Hey, we got how you doing there?
And of course, we got Mr. Brent Joseph.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Hopefully I'm not on mute.
I don't think so. So we have got a fun show tonight for everybody. Hopefully all the tech is working. And so if you are having any issues hearing us, seeing us, please feel free to drop something in the comments and let us know. But we're also recording it. So if you don't get the chance to see it tonight, we will definitely have it available for replay. For those of you who have never experienced Bourbon Bullshit is our most popular segment currently on our podcast. And as such, we thought it would be great to bring it to a live setting where we're going to talk about some of the most important bullshit topics that we've talked about so far, and also open it up for an opportunity for people watching to participate and ask us questions of their own. So we're going to kick things off real quick by sharing our board. This is a board that we created a while ago. This is the Bourbon Bullshit board, if you will, a la Jeopardy. Okay. And we're here, and what we're going to do is we're going to kick things off. We're going to pick a topic, and then we're going to discuss it for a little bit. Then we're going to come back and we're going to pick another topic. But at some point, we're going to turn it over to you guys, the viewers, and let us know where you want to go next. Pretty straightforward. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick things off with one of a sort of an oldie but a goodie. And that is the whole concept of BASS. Now, BASS stands for Bourbon Isle Assholes. I think we've all know them, right? And quite frankly, we don't need your help, so please stop. So, Bob, I know this one is near and dear to your heart every time you go into a liquor store. So why don't you kind of take this over for me and tell me, what's on your mind with this one?
Well, this is, I have to keep in mind that Pops doesn't want to have to get legal bills involved here. So we don't want to get sued. But if you go into maybe one of your larger liquor stores, maybe one that's got a lot of them around the country, someplace, I don't know, it rhymes with Total Wine, let's say. And in this particular instance, sorry, Pops, ka-ching, I'm counting up the money right now. In this particular instance, the BASS is usually the employees that are working there that are trying to hockey on 2 Stars bourbon. Or you're sitting there, you're looking at the bourbon aisle. Here comes some asshole, some dick, some, coming up to say, that Wild Turkey you're looking at is okay, but this 2 Stars is really fantastic. You ought to get in on this. Or you could be out at your local liquor store, whatever, and you got some guy there who's probably about, and I say guy because usually when you're talking about assholes, more often, yeah, it's guys. Women usually don't pull this kind of bullshit. So, but you'll see some guys in there just waiting for you to come into the aisle, waiting for you to look at it and say, hey man, I've got 5 of those at the house. You guys, you got any Blantons in the back? All that kind of shit. But people who are looking to give you their unsolicited opinion and who actually don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's what we're talking about here. So these are the kind of people that, I always wish that there weren't, obscenity laws so I could just be in the middle of the aisle and just piss on the guy. But, I can't do that. I'll get hauled out. We'll miss the podcast recording.
So what are some of the most egregious things you guys have heard people tell others, unsolicited or otherwise? In a liquor store, we'll keep it focused.
Well, and I don't know about a liquor store, but I know that they're bartenders are telling people that bourbon has to be made in Kentucky, which is just fucking stop.
Yeah, it's not just bartenders, so that's like a lot. I mean, that's a lot of people. That's such a
I'm thinking of a specific example that a friend of mine told me that it was in Iowa. It's like, oh yeah, they got this great whiskey here, but it can't be called bourbon because it's not made in Kentucky. That kind of shit.
Well, I don't have a bourbon aisle assholes because I'm not allowed in a bourbon aisle for a long time because I just moved and I schlepped all of my hundreds of bottles with me. And I think I might die if I buy any more right now. And I just use Drizzly most of the time. But my mom, it was so funny. Yeah, I know. My mom actually went to Total Wine and they were like, she said, "Oh, do you have Aperol?" And they said, "Oh, this is just as good." And she went home, and then I don't know how many times she's told me the story, but she's like, "I ruined a whole bottle of champagne on that shit. It is not the same. It is disgusting." So she took it back and was very mad about it.
All right.
I was in a store and they had the guy's like, well, the whole 2 stars thing, they're trying to tell him it's better than Makers. It's the same thing as Weller and all that kind of shit, which is just a standard thing. And it's just annoying as fuck.
All right. Well, Bob, we just lost your video for whatever reason. Aaron left the room and then suddenly you went blank. So maybe the two are connected. That's kind of creepy. Brent, you got any favorite things you've ever overheard in the liquor store?
Years ago, before Blanton's has become this absolute uncatchable unicorn, it used to be one of my favorite things. That's a whole different thing. I think the quality's fallen off a bit, and it's definitely not my favorite thing anymore. We're talking 7-8 years ago. My mother-in-law was trying to be really nice and generous and went to a liquor store locally and asked for a bottle of Blanton's. At the time, they didn't have any. It wasn't, like I said, what it is now. But the guy behind the counter was so nice to offer up the original, like, first release of Widow Jane and said it was just as good, if not better. And so that was the bottle that was gifted me. That was not awesome.
Is it still with you?
So I wrote a review on that bottle. That if you want to dig back through the archives, and it was not favorable. The main thing that I can remember from that bottle was acetone, and that's not usually a good thing.
All right.
So nail polish remover is not really what you want in your bourbon. And then I went back and revisited it, and it was slightly better, but not much. I gave it to some friends blindly. They were not happy with me. But to total, that's the wrong person we're bashing right now. We'll probably get onto that later. To Widow Jane's credit, they reached out to Pops a couple years later and said they kind of redid some things, reworked some things, and wanted us to review it again. And I was pretty shocked, considering we weren't, like I said, very nice about the review. And they actually specifically asked for the same person to review it again. And I did, and I was pleasantly surprised at the difference between that original Widow 10, it was either a 10 or an 8, I can't remember, and the new one they provided. It was much improved. I still wouldn't say it's near Blanton's even currently, but it was better than the original one. That one is one. Anything at Total Wine that they recommend is probably something that you should not buy because they get paid to push their brands. And also anything with a horse on it is usually not a good idea either.
I love
so
that bourbon is awful.
Yeah. Go there, don't drink it.
Brent, Doug wants to know what you're smoking this evening.
I saw that comment. I had to actually look. Apparently replied. This is a boutique Nicaraguan from I got from Cigar Federation, and it was called. Oh, I just lost it. I know it was Explicit Lyrics. Cigar Federation does a lot of real small boutique releases, and I like a lot of the stuff that they usually. So I buy samplers here and there from them, 5 or 10 packs to try some new stuff.
All right.
So there's our plug. Cigar Federation. Get in contact with Pops and hook us up.
We get some discounts. Get some discounts for the members. All right, let's go ahead and jump to another topic here. I think we're gonna, that was a nice little slow warm up, right? Let's go ahead and dive into the one that somebody asked, just because this is always a hot, disturbing topic, and that's the one is Jack bourbon, right? This is the ultimate question that you ask if you want to start a bar fight, right? And I typically will answer with this as the answer. This is our good friend Joe Head up at the Century Bar in Dayton, Ohio, and I took this photo, and this was perfect for him because this is how he puts it down. He just when people bring it up in his bar, he just says, "Listen, fuckers, it's not, and let's move on." But we all know, right, that technically speaking, it is a bourbon first and foremost, right?
Technically, right? But they don't want it to be called that because they want it to be their own thing, right?
Right. It wants to be their own thing, but it meets all the requirements, right? All the check marks of bourbon, and then it goes through the Lincoln County process, right? Which is a non-additive process, right? It doesn't add anything to it. Therefore, it retains its qualification as bourbon.
Yeah, and I actually had this conversation with a friend of mine from Bardstown who was getting into a fight with one of his high school friends from Bardstown, and like kept going back and forth about the maple charcoal. And it's like, no, it's exactly what you said. It is not additive. It's actually subtractive. So, and it's, I mean, you know, you can't not call it bourbon if it's chill filtered, for example. So, I mean, filtration does not make it does not negate the bourbon.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, all bourbons are whiskeys, not all whiskeys are bourbons. Like you can be multiple things, right?
That's right. That's very true. So, you know, folks, just remember, if you want to start a bar fight, that's a great question to ask. People are very passionate about it. But just know that it's a Tennessee whiskey because that's what they want it to be called. There's now a standard for that. So they get to play by that rule, but that does not keep it from also being a bourbon. And I think that's a really great way to position it. So that one was pretty easy. So let's go ahead and dive into another one here. And,
nobody else gets to say anything? You're just going to hog
No,
that
we're
hole
moving
and
on, man. We got a lot of stuff to get through here, man.
All right.
But Brent clearly wants to give his opinion, so let the man talk.
All right, give us your opinion.
I started out with Jack way back. I was mixing with Coke. That's kind of was the gateway drug to the whole bourbon scene. And after the reality is, like, what do you care? If you like it, drink it. Who gives a shit? Like, is this what you really want to argue about and have a dick measuring contest about? Like, it doesn't matter. I think it is, but again, I'm not going to start a giant war over it. But after their new bonded release and after the Coy Hill that I had this year that Pops gave me a sample of, it was the best thing I've had in 2 or 3 years out of anything that I've had. Like, yeah, it's bourbon and it plays and move on. But what do you care, right? Is it that big of a deal to you?
His mama called him Tennessee whiskey. I'm going to call him Tennessee whiskey.
That's fine. Call
whether or not people agree with me, I give a fuck not. But like somebody asked, is it filled? Is it in charred oak barrels then filtered? It's reversed. It's filtered then it's put into the charred oak barrels. New charred oak barrels.
Well, but it's just like if a gin company wanted to call themselves a juniper vodka, like it's technically true. So you could be whatever.
They didn't want to sell any gin, they could do that.
I mean, yeah, I know, but like but I'm just saying, like, you know, you could say, oh no, like this is a juniper vodka, and you're like, well, isn't that gin? You're like, well, we want to call ourselves a
Don't be giving people ideas, Aaron. We don't need to be starting to get into fucking juniper vodka.
Yeah, we have a rule at DrinkCurious. All spirits are created equal except for vodka.
Yeah.
So we'll just stick with that. All right, let's start getting some shit fired up here, and let's talk about you know, one of our things that have been really, really popular on the podcast, and that's let's talk about celebrity bourbons. Bob, you want to tee us up because you look like you just either passed gas or gave birth to a very painful child.
Look, would you all fucking stop? Would you just fucking stop with the fucking celebrity bourbons? We don't care. We don't care that you took a bunch of barrels of mediocre whiskey out on your shitty ass fucking country tour across 26 states and are charging people $100 for it. Nobody cares. We don't care that your ass is so fucking annoying on Sunday mornings talking about your Fox football or whatever the fucking football thing that you're calling on, and you're balding and no one gives a shit since you left the Steelers in the 70s. And now you got your fucking bourbon out there because you want it to be smooth. We don't care about your fucking Summer's Eve, you know, Peyton Manning's Summer's Eve bourbon or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know. Is that what it's called?
I think it's a mix of 2 brands you're thinking of here.
Summer's Eve is a feminine hygiene product. I'm thinking of the Cove thing. What is Sweeten's Cove? It's not a douche. It's just made by douches. So anyway, that's I'm fucking tired of all this shit. I will say though, my hat is off to, was it Anthrax Pops? Who did the one celebrity whiskey that was like putting a VIP ticket in the bottle?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. Anthrax came out with something and it was like $150 or $250, but that higher priced whiskey was probably a decent whiskey, but it included a VIP experience with the band on their next tour, you know, that's at the time I said, would Springsteen please do this for his upcoming shows? And I'll take it. So if I find something that's actually halfway decent, we'll say that. You know, the Metallica, the Cast Strength Blacken, the first one of those that they did, was fantastic. It was a cask strength American whiskey. Now, all of that fucking black noise age with sound thrown at it bullshit, that stuff, no, it's not fucking changing the thing. Stop it. Knock it the fuck off.
So let's dive into the Brad Paisley one for a second, because when we talked about this before, we've written about it, we talked about it in the Slack community, and here's Brad Paisley taking some mediocre whiskey from Bardstown Bourbon Company, putting it on the back of these trucks and driving them around. And everyone's like, oh, this is great. I'll pay $100-$120, whatever it is, for really soft whiskey. Okay, at the end of the day. Once again, if you like it, you can drink it. But if you're paying a premium for that, we have to have a conversation. But what nobody was addressing in the press was the fact of, what's the freaking carbon footprint of this? Everybody's getting excited. This is great, whatnot. But holy shit, that's a lot of mileage. So we have our little energy savant here with Aaron, and you did some CO2 carbon emission calculations for us. And so the equivalent of what he drove that, what put that in some layman's terms for us, like what does that really mean? How much gas and CO2 were they putting out in the world?
Yeah, so I mean, let's just talk about the baseline numbers, right? So they traveled 7,314 miles, assuming an average barrel weight of 550 pounds. They had 90 barrels in tow. The way that you calculate carbon emissions from that is called ton miles. So essentially you multiply the miles by the tons. So essentially you get about 182,000 ton miles. Every single ton mile driven by your average freight truck is 161.8 grams of carbon into the world. And that all equates to about 30 metric tons. So that's 30 additional metric tons of carbon. Now, what that means is that is the equivalent of 100 one-way trips between San Francisco and JFK, if you're flying economy, and 51 premium cabin tickets each way. So these aren't round trip tickets. These are one way. So this is exactly the same as you going back and forth between San Francisco and New York 100 times.
I didn't know we had homework for this. What the hell?
Yeah.
Welcome.
And that's
welcome
right,
to our
folks.
the Bourbon Banter.
The DrinkCurious slide rules are going to be debuting just in time for Christmas. So make sure you order early and get several. They're going to be
welcome to the Bourbon and Banter TED Talk on pollution.
Yeah, and it's also about a day and a half worth of a coal powered plant, which is a lot. Like those are super
holy
expensive.
Shit.
Yeah.
So you can support Brad Paisley and his shitty whiskey while burning the earth. That's fantastic. All right. So we also
and to save carbon emissions, Aaron did all that on an abacus. So
that's right.
I'm waiting for someone to release a celebrity whiskey that stands out, that somebody would pick blind in a tasting with 3 or 4 different ones. Like throw one celebrity in there with some regular releases, throw it in there with an Evan Williams 100 or a old granddad bottle and bond or a regular Elisha Cray or an Eagle Rare. And you tell me that one of those celebrity whiskeys is going to be picked blind between 3 or 4 of those other ones. No way. Come on. Yeah. And you're going to pay 4 times the price for one of those? Or like, what about like, what is the Heavens, the Bob Dylan Heaven's Door one that comes in a hand painted bottle?
Oh shit, the $500 one.
Like, another thing from Bob Dylan that I can't understand.
If you're a fanboy of one of these artists and you're buying their product because you're a fan of them, great. That's awesome. And you're a collector and I get it. And you want to support the artist and that's your connection. Like I'm 100% for that. But to argue that these products stand out above some of these things that are sitting on the shelf. I mean, find a Rebel 100 and tell me that one of these things are better than that. That's a $19 bottle where I am. Come on.
See that right there, that Rebel should be a celebrity bourbon. That should be Billy Idol
just bottle
all
it.
over it.
Just bottle it as celebrity bourbon. Just put a new label on it and call it.
Well, that's what everybody else is doing. None of these celebrities are actually making anything.
Well, Lux Row, give me a cut.
I mean, if Fish came out with a bourbon, like now that thing would sell like crazy. Like
nope,
Fish,
I don't want that to happen because then my wife might start drinking bourbon and I don't want her to touch any of my bourbon.
You'd have to put like THC in it or something though.
Whatever. Let's leave that celebrity endorsement alone. We keep that away from the bourbon world.
No, we don't. We don't.
They're coming strong and fast. You got Brothers Bond, I think, from the guys.
Which wasn't bad, but
I'm curious if there's anybody out there that's listening to this. Have you had a celebrity bourbon that you would pick up over something else? You know,
that's my point.
That's what I'm curious about. Now that like I said, that Metallica limited cask strength thing, I would grab that. and in a blind, because you guys, I went into that ready to be like, what the
Which
fuck
one?
is it? That was the
the blackened
second edition of the
yeah.
blackened limited,
Yeah.
which is gone now. And I bought but they're starting to do private barrels, and I bought one that was distributed in Missouri, and it was okay. It wasn't as good as the limited one was. And if you had found the limited one, it was like $70, $70. It wasn't that bad.
Not too bad.
It's 150 in Florida. My buddy's wife just sent me a picture of it today and asked me if she should buy it, and I said not for that price.
So, hey Bob, Tim wants to know, what about Ragnarok Rye?
Ragnarok Rye. What the fuck is intergalactic whiskey, Tim? Can you tell me what intergalactic whiskey is? It's the only reason that anybody's talking about Guar, because nothing that they're doing is fucking interesting or of any talent. So I'm hoping that this shit's good, because the folks at Catoctin Creek can make halfway decent whiskey. But shit.
But remember, Guar is like our hometown people. They're from Richmond. Like, they have a really...
And they can stay in Richmond. Fuck them. I don't
They have a really strong local following in the DC, Richmond, like the RVA to DC area. Like, they have a really strong following here. So, and actually...
and this is not directed
you got
at
to
you.
be careful on those hometown heroes, because even Jim Jones came from a hometown. I'm just saying.
This is not directed at you, Aaron, but considering all the stupidity that's running around that Washington, D.C. area, I don't know if that's something to brag about, that they're big in that, it doesn't surprise me there'd be a bunch of people that would be into Guar around D.C.
Well, you do understand that, like, that part of DC is like the federal district area, and like I don't mess with that stuff. Like,
not only do we have emissions, we have geography.
People live here, like us normal people live here too.
All right, all right. So I tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and let Brent here pick. Where do you want to go next, Brent?
Oh man. Where are we at here? You know what? I don't know where this one's going, so I'm gonna go gift or gimmick. I know Bob's I'm gonna set Bob off. Not that.
All right. So this has got some visual cues. So this is something I teed up because I want to get your guys' opinion. So I got some visuals I'm going to pull up here. So this should get real interesting. All right. So I got 4 different things we're going to show. So let's start off with number 1. Gift or gimmick?
Fuck out of here.
What are those, poker chips?
That's fucking horseshit. Look, okay.
Poker chips.
You got poker chips?
This shit. I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing the time. Anybody else, feel free to go first. My initial reaction tells you all you need to know.
Well, tell them what it is, Bob.
It's the fucking whiskey pump. It's a thermos that presses whiskey through a wooden chip that is supposed to impart the flavor of 5 years of barrel aging into whatever you're pumping through.
Like you push it through a filter, which is a disc of wood?
A disc of wood. Now, Pops and I had talked about this on the most recent episode of the Most Honest Podcast in Bourbon. And Pops had a grand idea that, if you want to save yourself some money on this shit, you want to impart more wood flavor, just go out in your backyard, pull a twig off a tree, swirl it in your fucking glass, drink it, call it a goddamn day. I added, make sure you're pulling it from at least 3-4 feet up, so that it's not one of the the twigs the dogs are pissed on. Unless you have like an Irish wolfhound, then you might want to go 5 or 6 feet up. But that would do the same freaking thing. This is not imparting 5 years. You're not going to part 5 years of flavor into something from pushing it through a black fucking thermos and a disc of wood.
This is a gimmick, obviously. Like, if it was this easy, if you were able to hyper age something like that in the matter of minutes or days or weeks or even months, and I think the biggest example of this is Cleveland whiskey. Like, if that shit didn't work, I promise you this isn't working. And I promise you there's more science that went in and money that went behind the Cleveland whiskey deal with the vacuum seal and the chopping up the barrels and pressurizing it and releasing the pressure and back and forth. And that stuff's absolute garbage. Like, that is some of the worst stuff I've absolutely ever had.
Well, you know what this pump is good
gimmick.
for. This pump is good for one thing and one thing only, and that's to slow down your whiskey consumption. Because let me get this straight: you got to pour it into this contraption, put a wood disc in, then you've got to pump it and squeeze it out in a trickle. Us guys are all going to have to deal with the trickle soon enough as we get older. I don't need a pump to kind of give me a foreshadowing of that in my life. So I'm with you guys. This is a definite gimmick. So let's go ahead and move on here to the next item.
I mean, the key
And
to
we've-
bourbon is that someone else has already done all the work for you, right?
That's
And
right.
Now you're not supposed to make it harder to drink your bourbon.
All right, so here we have a couple items. Glencairn carrying cases, gift or gimmick?
I think it's awesome.
I think it's a gift. I've seen a lot of people use these, and there's been times where I've, not gonna lie, I've been slightly jealous where somebody breaks out their little like fancy carrier and has their Glencairn on the spot. Like that's a pro move. That's akin to like walking around with a with like a koozie or two in your pocket at all times. So when you show up at the concert, your semi cold beer, doesn't get warm too fast type deal.
Yeah,
This is a win.
when I go to tastings, for example, like when I do tastings, like I always bring a Glencairn glass or two with me to like show like the proper way to taste and everything. And I mean, I'm always using the very sophisticated random bubble wrap method and hope it doesn't get smashed. So like this, I think would just make me look like such a pro. I would love that little 2Z. I think that's great. The other one, that one's pretty sweet too. I don't know when I guess you could go to like, if you're going through bourbon country or something, or if you're
That's
going
like a Pelican case with like 8 foam cutouts for 8
Yeah.
Glencairns. That's
Isn't
pretty
that
strong.
sweet? That's
It's expensive. It's about close to $300 altogether, or you can get the foam insert for like $150 and put it into your own case.
You
There's a
could do
lot
this-
of folks
you-
online. who are
You could do
creating
that
these.
yourself with a Pelican case and cut your own foam and call it a day. But
Yeah.
And
I
cut
think
out
you need to
space for a
invest in that
bottle,
for
so you
one of
can
our
have
next
4
barrel
glasses
pit
in a
stops.
bottle or 2 bottles or whatever the fuck,
yeah.
Yeah, those things are
The
awesome.
reality is,
If anybody's looking for gift giving ideas for the Bourbon and Banter team, by all means, please, these would be highly appreciated.
The reality is, if you're doing a private barrel pick anywhere and they don't provide you Glencairns to start off
Who the
with,
fuck would be that cheap?
really? Buffalo Trace? There's a couple other places we've been to. I don't want to throw them under the bus.
I do have my Four Roses private barrel. You can't see it. Private barrel program glass, which they do provide and they let you keep.
They
I
changed
will-
those glasses. There's new
They
ones now.
Ooh,
Yeah, there's new ones now.
Ooh.
So-
Send me a picture. But
I
you
gotta
know what?
find it.
The last thing I'll say about this though is that Glencairn case, the 2Z, is
Mhm.
like primo for monogramming, which I know
Yeah.
Kurt will appreciate. But like that can easily be personalized, and that's something that if they don't already do that, you can easily get done locally, and that is a super nice gift. This would make an amazing like bachelor party gift or a bachelorette party gift, or even like a wedding shower gift or a wedding gift, or a housewarming gift. That would be a great housewarming gift. So this is yeah, I'm excited.
Steve just provided new information via the chat that Buffalo Trace has finally stepped up and gotten in line with every other distillery in the country and is now providing Glencairns for each individual rather than one glass to share, which is what their MO was prior to pandemic.
Well, yeah, pandemics has really kind of made them invest. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah,
And by the
so
way, if you like
they're
that
hurting for
Glencairn
money.
case, that's about $32 on the Glencairn US website. So it's not terribly expensive either.
BRB.
With the glasses or without the glasses?
Without the glasses.
No, those are the Waterford ones. Those are expensive.
Yeah, those are expensive.
Oh.
All right, we got 2 more items here. Next one up, the Magic Flask.
Where's Lee?
Yeah. Lee
I like
took
how it says 2 5-star ratings, and this is also called the Potion Pal. I
Lee
love
took the hit on this.
That's
one
from the
and
guy.
reviewed
That's from
this
their
way back.
mother and their brother. That's who that 5-star rating is from.
Oh man.
I mean, you have to read this. Up to 50% fewer hangovers.
No way.
Brings out fruity flavors. The perfect party piece. FDA registered plus a 1-year warranty.
What does FDA registered mean? Like
It's
just
because it's made of grade 304 stainless steel that's easy to clean.
Food safe.
it won't poison you.
FDA is it's made by Future Dicks of America, so that's where that stands for.
In the words of Brett Atlas, are you fucking kidding me? This is a
Exactly.
gimmick. This is a gimmick for sure.
Yeah, so just to bring everybody up to speed, a couple years ago, Lee Stang received a sample of the Magic Flask, and the whole premise is by putting your whiskey, it will make it taste better, much like the whiskey pump swears to do. And Lee put it through some extensive testing, and he was very nice at the end. And he said, for any whiskey connoisseur, this is a hard pass. I think he then took it out behind his pickup truck and ran it over.
Put Cleveland
So-
in it and let me know how it works.
Yeah, exactly right. So, all right, that was a nice easy one, and this is the last one I got for you. Gift or gimmick?
Ooh, what's that?
Uh,
That's pretty.
so So these are from a company called Aged and Ore. I actually have these in my house. I wasn't sure if you guys had seen these before. So I thought these were kind of actually pretty cool as a gift. The one on the left is their version of a bourbon sample travel case. They have 4 bottles in there. They're coated with a little bit of a neoprene casing there, so they don't clang when they get pushed together. Wide mouth lids, neoprene sleeve on the bottle itself. Wide mouth lid, and then they give you a little white marker pen so you can actually write what they are on that glass portion. And then the item on the right is their travel flask. It holds about a half a bottle of whiskey, screws together so you can toss it in a backpack in the back of your car. It won't break. And then each end of the outer metal coating can be used as a cup to drink. And while metal is not ideal to drink at, if you're on a campground and you don't have a nice handy Glencairn traveling case, this is a nice, simple thing to do. So I thought these were pretty cool. Wasn't sure if you guys had seen these at all.
That's gift for sure, because that's not something that I would probably spend up on myself. I would use a Nalgene or a Hydro Flask or a plastic, flask that I don't care if it gets trashed for $5 if we lose it. But these are fancy. Those are nice looking. Those are gifts.
Yeah, I'm also I'm just going to put a bunch of Boston Rounds between my clothes. If I'm like traveling with them, or just like shove them in my bag.
I'm just going to bubble wrap a bottle or two and put it in my bag.
There you go.
No,
like
but I'm saying
a full bottle. This isn't going to get me past the airport.
Yeah, it was all I could do not to put the Norland pipette in this for you, Bob. I didn't want
we don't want it.
Bob, we don't need to repeat that. They can go back and listen to the podcast on that.
Ooh, but one thing that is, I don't know. So I'm going to throw this option out. What about the wee Glencairn?
Oh, those actually are legit.
I'm a fan.
Glencairn?
No,
the wee,
the small ones.
There you go,
guys. Those are great.
The wee Glencairn. How much did it hold?
I did a tasting for like, I don't know, a couple hundred people, and it was at a corporate event, and they provided those for everybody.
Yeah,
and it was great to be able to provide those to the consumers or to the guests or the clients, and they could taste that of basically a miniature Glencairn. They were great.
Yeah, I put them in a lot of virtual tasting kits, and they're a big hit.
What's everybody drinking tonight? Somebody asked that earlier about the folks in the chat, but we haven't shared. What are you all drinking tonight?
Ooh, nice choice, Aaron.
Yes, God damn it!
You have to show the bottle. Why don't you just tell what it is?
The N95 filtered Bourbon Banter pick. Actually, the one that we picked using this glass.
Oh, that's the one that I lost out on the naming rights of.
Yeah, you did. Sorry. I'm the HR department here.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, well,
I
thought non-binary mash bill was a fantastic label for that one. No one liked it. Everybody shit on it.
I'm sure that would have gone over huge.
I'm sure we would have sold every fucking bottle.
Oh, well, like we never, like we have a problem with that, right?
Right. I am
maybe we'll put that on some barrel that doesn't
from that
sell.
same trip. From it's gonna happen. From that same barrel pick trip in March of 21, where we picked 6 barrels. I am drinking our foolproof 1792, which is an absolute fantastic 1792.
Yeah,
maybe one of the better ones I've ever had.
That was the first one of many.
That's right.
Oh, the first of the day. That was the first pick that day. Yes,
that was a heavy trip.
That was a good trip.
All right, Bob, what do you got?
I've got the Wyoming whiskey private stock from South Lindale Liquor up in Minneapolis. That is that's 109.2 proof wheated bourbon, about 6 years old, and fantastic. And for those of you in the Bourbon and Banter Barrel Club, we will be selecting that barrel in the next 6 weeks, Pop, something like that.
No, I'm going to be
this
picking
weekend?
that barrel on Friday next week.
Shit, next week, yeah.
Very excited about that.
Hey, can we highlight Tim's comment real quick? I just want to give a shout out though to Jay Rieger. So Tim said he was drinking Rieger's BIB. I think it's amazing what they did. They were like, none of the categories out there right now fit us. So they actually lobbied to get a new category added. So they actually added Kansas whiskey. And so now that's their style. Or is it Kansas City whiskey? I can't
Kansas
remember.
City. They're in
I think it's
City.
Kansas City because I think Rieger's is in Missouri, isn't it, Pops?
Yeah, it is. It was Kansas City whiskey. That's what it was. Kansas City whiskey. And I'm like, I just
So
think
is that a category in a spirit competition? So now they have that locked down.
yeah, I
Like
know,
an
right?
automatic win.
I think it has an Ascot Award category dedicated to it already.
It's like
There you
Well,
go.
we'll
Pops.
get there. We'll get
There's
there,
your-
folks.
There's your segue to the next category.
Well,
Well,
what's Pops drinking though? We didn't hear
real quick.
that yet.
So I'm already like on my second or third bottle here going along here, but I'm trying this again. This is that Ben Holiday, Missouri bottled and bond bourbon that came out. And
Is
I
this the
did
one
a,
that Brett? Is this
That's
the one
one
that
that just
Brett
got
reviewed?
yeah, Brett Atlas did a review and he absolutely fucking loved it.
He raved
a lot
about
of a lot of people are raving about it. I did a quick video when I first got it. It's one of the times I did a little live posting to the community to try it. And it's not bad by any stretch of imagination, but I'm seeing some people say, "Oh, I think it's going to be whiskey of the year," and I just don't get it. So I keep trying it, hoping that maybe I'll discover what everyone else knows. But
what's the MSRP?
I actually don't know because when they sent me all the materials, there was no price and there was no price on the website when I was looking it up. So there may be a price now. Somebody complained that they thought it was a little high, but to me, Green River kicks its ass all day long.
Kyle, what'd you pay for your bottle yesterday? He said he picked up a bottle of that yesterday.
Oh yeah, Kyle. How much did you spend? He'll let us know. He'll chime in here in a minute.
Yeah.
But then I was drinking before that some barrel bourbon, and then I'm about to hit. I had one bottle left of our Rossville Union pick that I found in a shelf somewhere, and I'm gonna enjoy a little bit of that here in a moment as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and bring up the board. And Brent, you kind of teed us up to spirits competitions, right?
I'm here for you. I'm your setup guy.
All right. Well, people. Oh wait, real quick here. Kyle said that that bottle was about $50 to $60.
Yeah, I thought 70, but yeah.
That's a hard pass for me. There's nothing in it that's that exciting for that price point. Hell no. Four Rows of single barrel all day long over that one easily. But all right, spirit competitions. If you've listened to the podcast, we have more than a few opinions on this subject. So I'm gonna let Erin kick this thing off and give her 2 cents on what the fuck is up with all these, man.
So I do have some good friends who are judges at these spirit competitions. And I get that. I mean, granted, it's a hustle. You get paid. That's great. It means nothing. Like there's no real rubric. Like they don't tell you what it means. Like I feel like it's just like the Wild West anymore and no spirits competition. I mean, the San Francisco spirits competition is generally well thought of, but even there, I mean, if you just look through the winners, like Cutwater Spirits wins like so many awards. And I love a good Cutwater Bloody Mary in a can. I would not drink their vodka on its own or their gin on its own. Not that I'm drinking vodka, but like, I just, and then, my opinions on this, but like, at what point this is like the millennial, everybody gets a trophy equivalent of spirit competitions. Like you get a triple platinum, like you get a titanium, and nothing is consistent. So you could have the same bottles all in a row and they can all be like double gold and they all mean different things. I know it's a marketing thing, but it's incredibly confusing to consumers. And I don't know why there hasn't been some sort of crackdown on this because it is extremely misleading.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think people need to understand with these award shows, right? So everybody, when they submit their whiskeys or their canned cocktails, RTDs, whatever it may be, they're paying a really hefty fee to do this, right? They have to submit a couple bottles of their product, hundreds of dollars. We know the Ascot Awards had a really, really high price point, and they submit this. And what we have seen over the years with these shows is traditionally, right, you get a bronze, a silver, a gold. But what they've done is they've like eliminated the bronze, now they've got, and almost eliminated silver. You've got gold, double gold, platinum, Teflon, whatever it may be, and they keep just moving the target north, meaning that no one gets a bad rating.
Well, and also it's like in college when you got all those letters from random, and I think Pops, you said like the who's who thing, like when you got like the who's who letter, like, ooh, pay $50 to get in the who's who of XYZ. And or like, oh my gosh, like you're a student who has above a 2.5 GPA, you qualify for this organization. It's not real. Like if you're Phi Beta Kappa, that's actually like a real thing that people understand, that like you have to meet a very strict criteria, but all of these other ones are just bullshit that you pay to play. And you're like trying to pad your resume. And this is exact same thing. Like this is resume padding for spirits brands.
So let's talk about the reality. So we can sit around here and you know, kick sand in the faces of the awards competitions because we think they're bullshit. But you know, there's an argument to be made that without these, a lot of brands wouldn't get their breakthrough moment, right? These are important to brands, right? And they pay to play because they know by putting this little medallion on their hang tag or on their bottle or in their press release, it does sway consumers, right? And we've always been collectively of the general opinion that people should be able to do enough research on their own and not be swayed at the point of purchase or from a magazine ad because there's a double gold medal, right? So how do you fix this? I mean, let's think about that a little bit. It's like, how could you actually make something that would have some value in it and make it a little bit more of a representative reality? Or is that even possible?
I don't think it's possible. At some point, everybody's in this to make some money. And these individual distilleries are paying to basically buy a bottle tag, whether bronze or a silver or a double gold or whatever it is, or a platinum or, you know, an ultra whatever. It's just to get another, it's just paying to get something to make their bottle stand out. And you can't fault the brands for doing it. It's good money spent by them to get one of these labels or tags to be able to hang on their bottle and make it stand out on the shelf.
Well, a lot of companies do this too. Like even like places like Forbes, right? You can see like, oh, so-and-so wrote something for Forbes. And then you see like, oh, it's the Forbes that you have to like subscribe to and then pay them to like write some Medium style blog post. But you can say, I've been published in Forbes. And it's like, not really.
If something has a double gold, I might look twice at it. But if it's a silver or a bronze or what, like, again, it's just a pay to play type thing.
But I'm going to look at who that double gold's from. Is it from
Agreed.
somebody who I value?
100%.
And most of them I don't really value anymore.
Years ago, we all met up. I think it was in 2015 when we all met up in St. Louis at Whiskey in the Winter, and we did a bottle share the night before. And I ended up getting my hands on a double gold winner of Four Roses single barrel. It was a private pick done by Crown Liquors locally. And I think they made something like only 60 or 90 of those bottles available in this market. And people were calling from all over the country to try to get these things. Luckily enough, I had fostered a relationship and I was able to get one of those bottles. I brought that to the bottle share and it was good, but it was no way, shape, or form anything close to one of the better Four Roses that I've ever had. It wasn't as good as one of the ones we picked last year in March. I've had plenty from other places, from bars, from restaurants, things like that were better. Again, it was good, but it wasn't anything that stood out that night at our bottle share. And I thought, I was hoping that it was something special, and it was a meh.
I mean, the thing that we can do and that we try to do is create a better educated consumer who knows to come to someplace that they trust, either someone whose palate they trust, like a store with their private picks, or coming to a site or a group of writers that they trust their opinion on. Because if you're going out buying wine, it's the same thing. You see all the shelf talkers, you know, and it's Spirit Tasters 101 gave this a 99 rating. Who the fuck is this?
But if you see,
and just like Jim is saying, yeah, the casual consumer, that's who's looking for this kind of thing.
Yeah, but Bob, if you see Wine Spectator ranked at 90, gave it 94 points, like that's huge, right?
But I mean, that's making my point for me. That's somebody who people trust. Yeah. So that's the thing is Wine Spectator. Like I don't drink any wines that Wine Spectator doesn't rate at least 102. So that's just the way
Man of standards.
That's my standard. So yeah.
That means he just like adds, 2 61s together or 51s together. I can do math.
I was gonna say, come on now. You're the mathematician here doing all this stuff, and you can't. Come on.
I mean, Bob, you bring up an interesting point though, because there's a difference between ratings and reviews and competitions, right? Because rating reviews, if you find a resource, whether it's Bourbon and Banter, but really inside of Bourbon Banter, is it Aaron's reviews, my reviews, your reviews, Brent's, Steve Coombs' reviews, whoever, you find a palette that you align with, right? You get to trust it. So if Wine Spectator, you trust their ratings at consistently anything above a 95, you enjoy. That's different because they're not comparing them. For me, the problem with the competition is you've got a whole bunch of people in a room drinking a shit ton of product, right? And then telling you which one is better than the other. And that's ultimately subjective. So for me, I believe in people's opinions for reviews, especially like I said, when you find someone that you align with, I never question that. But the whole competitive angle thing, that's the one that gets me going, because it just doesn't make sense, especially when a product can vary so differently in the competitions and the money grab that goes with it.
And usually,
so that's only my challenge with it.
If you're taking a look at a bottle, yeah. Sorry, we're talking over each other. No, Jim said it matters to the casual consumer. You know, if they're buying for somebody else.
Like I said, like if my mother-in-law walks in and trying to buy me a bottle, she knows I'm a bourbon drinker, she's gonna pick one of those because, oh, it's got a shiny metal and it won something, and here I did something nice for you, and like that's great, and that's what it is, and that works. But is it going to get you to buy a second bottle?
Put that up. There you go. I tell you what, folks, Jim Knudsen.
And moving on.
It's fantastic. Well, the last thing I'll say about that is if you're seeing a shelf talker or something and you've got a bottle that's just covered in metals, literally there's like 15, 20 metals on this shelf talker, whatever like that, that's going to trigger me to be like, the fuck is somebody's needing to prove something. They're needing to pay. They're needing to buy all those because they're either new or no one's buying their shit whiskey to begin with. Pops, you and I, when we were down at Art Eatables, had some stuff that was covered in metals and tasted like that's how they distilled it, with those metals covered over the thing, and they just poured it over the fucking metals and let it sit for about 3 days.
Well,
Horrible.
Bob, I just say one more thing about that. It's covered in metals, just like Muammar Gaddafi and Idi Amin.
Oh, that is a fantastic way to.
Yeah, I'll raise a glass to that. There you go. That's nice.
All right, Bob. What's your pleasure on the board, sir?
What is my pleasure on the board? Oh, I don't know, Pops. What do you want to hear me going off on? Well, it kind of leads right into FOMO. So let's go to FOMO.
Tell us about FOMO, Bob.
So, everyone is aware of the, fear of missing out is what a lot of people call this. I call this fuck others' misguided opinions. And this goes back to everybody is a fucking expert. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got an opinion. Now, I say that fully knowing that here are 4 of us doing nothing but bitching and moaning and complaining all night long on Bourbon Bullshit Live, giving you our unvarnished opinions. But this comes out of a lot of different things. Some of them being like really bad writing. With the ease that it is to publish anything online now, anybody who's got a computer or whose friend has got a computer or whose neighbor 3 houses down has got a computer that they let them use can put out something and look like they're a fucking expert. Something was shared with us today, and I'm forgetting what it was. It was talking about, the 25 smoothest whiskeys you must buy this season and have, behind your bar. And half of them you can't get anymore because they were limited releases like 6 years ago. And, they're saying Heaven Hill's unique mash bill. Their unique mash bill's corn and
standard mash bill,
rye and malted barley. It's like the fuck, so this individual's opinions on all this stuff to be smooth,
right?
It's like, no, fucking knock it off.
Well, it's the whole reason we created the DrinkCurious community, right? The idea that we want people to come together, learn and educate. We're all in a different part of our journey, right? So some people know more than others, but there was a couple comments this week where we mentioned this whole FOMO concept, right? And it was this idea that someone went online and made a comment that they liked the Larceny barrel strength better than the Elijah Craig barrel strength, right? So once again, this person made an observation, immediately someone jumped their shit and said they were crazy, that, that the Elijah Craig barrel strength was so much better, and just totally, jumped down their throat about this topic. And that's, for me, what FOMO means. It's everyone's got an opinion, and that's cool, but it's when people are forcing that opinion upon you or trying to bully you or shame you and tell you that you're wrong. That's where the FOMO, our definition of it, really kicks in for me. And I think that's why it's so important for people to be educated.
Well, here's the deal. If you like it, you're not wrong. If you enjoy it, you're not wrong. Just because you enjoy it doesn't mean I enjoy it, and it doesn't mean you're wrong. Just because Erin likes something and I don't like it doesn't mean I'm right and she's wrong. Everybody's palates are different, and everybody has different things they enjoy. It gets a little gray when you like it or you're forcing yourself to like it because you overpaid for something. Or, hey, I got this allocated $150 or $200 bottle and it's amazing, when the reality is it may not be that good, but you're trying to force yourself to like it to justify that you spent too much money on it. That's a little bit different. But if you like it, you're not wrong. We may just disagree, and that's okay too.
So I feel like at some point this community is going to have a bet that the loser has to get a smooth tramp stamp.
That can be taken in so many different ways. No, but what Pops was talking about in the community, somebody saying that, somebody jumped on him for I don't even think they were talking about liking the larceny over the Elijah Craig. They just said they liked the larceny. Yeah. They just said they loved the larceny barrel proof. Right. And I said, and I knowing how people feel about that, it's a very polarizing bottle. People either love larceny or hate it. But I don't think anybody's going to say well, Brett may say he's going to pour it down the fucking drain, but I don't know that everybody else would.
Not me. That's Brett, not Brent with an N. Yes,
Brett, not Brent. But talking about everybody going on crazy about their $150 bottle, $200 bottle, they can keep on going for those things, and I'll just keep going back and buying these things, and I'll enjoy the hell out of that for $40 in Missouri, because the state may be completely fucked up, but at least we got some of the best prices on bourbon in the country.
I'd like to interject here. If anybody had the over on the number of fucks that Bob would drop on this session, the DraftKings over just hit with Bob's number of fucks. So if you got the over, you're good tonight. And we still got some time. We still got time to go. We still got time to go. So you're
still got time to go. All right. Well, I don't know. Is there how much over? I don't know.
It's just a flat over under.
I think this next topic is gonna push him there. If I may push us forward, I'm gonna go ahead and choose overpriced booze for 500, Alex. As I like to say, we'd rather have a case of the clap than a case of your booze.
Wow.
This was inspired. That's strong, wasn't it? You like that?
I love that.
This was inspired by I don't know which one of you guys put this in the chat the other day, but this is Missouri's own Wood Hat Spirits selling a bottle of their bourbon Rubenesque hazmat at the brand new ABV bottle shop in Arnold, Missouri, for a measly $250.
Now
before we light this one up, before Brent lights this up, I want to preface this by saying that the folks from Wood Hat Spirits are really beautiful people. They are fantastic people. They're very nice people. I desperately have wanted to enjoy their products for a long time. To me, it's very, very young. I haven't had it in a while, but I tried a multitude of different things and just could not get behind it. But they're super nice people. But this, go ahead, Brent, with the rest of that. So I just wanted to get that out there before we start throwing shit at it.
I will preface this by saying I've never had it, okay? But I saw this, and my first thought was I'd rather eat a wood hat than pay $250 for this. And
someone get this man a wood hat.
Right? $250 of my money, right? Like, I'm not saying it's bad. Again, I've never had it. I've never tried it. But I can promise you that I would not walk into a store and pay $250 for a bottle of something that I've just want to roll the dice on. It's just
Well,
not.
here's the deal,
It's
guys.
not in my budget. I don't want it to be in my budget, and I'd rather buy a case of, or 2 or 3 cases of plenty of different things before I would try to roll the dice on a $250 bottle of Wood Hat. And
Yeah,
again,
but
I'm sure they're great people. I'm sure they're doing good things. I haven't tried it yet. If you want to send me a sample, and with also a Wood Hat on the side, we'll see what happens, and I'll take a sample of both and tell you which one I like. But I have a hard time getting behind a $250 from a craft distiller and be like, oh yeah, this is where I'm throwing.
Here's the deal, guys. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It doesn't. It's not worth fucking $250. The fact that the store is selling it for $250 is just it pisses me off. I don't know what they paid for it, but if they paid so much that they have to sell it for $250 to make a profit, they got screwed. I wouldn't pay $250 for a bottle of Four Roses single barrel. Okay, and I love Four Roses single barrel.
I know where you can buy one for that though.
Oh,
yeah, right. Yeah, you can, and a lot more.
You gotta browse and get one.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. It's just bullshit. It's fucked up. There's no excuse for this. They're nice people, yes. Is some of their stuff tend to be young? Could this be older? Could be. Wow, it's 142.7 proof. None of that adds the value to that bottle. As Matt says here with a little quote, it's a $37 whiskey with $213 of regret. There's cheaper ways to get laden with regret. So
for less than $250, yeah, a lot less than $250.
Hey, Pops, on that note, though, well, one, as someone who's taken a lot of art history, I don't think they know what Rubenesque means. And then also, I will just say, Pops, that
Aaron's here to educate us all around.
I know. I'm so cultured. But I just Googled, and apparently, even if you don't have insurance, you can get a Z-Pack to cure the clap for half that price. So.
And that's what we were looking for, folks. If you're wondering about what you were going to come out of here tonight with, there's the information right there.
Mathematician,
right there.
Medical professional. Yeah, exactly. So, but they're not the only ones that are egregious, right? I mean, our friends in Texas, Bob, right?
Jesus fucking Christ. Somebody sent me.
Oh, no, hold on. I Googled Garrison Brothers, just in Google, and shopping comes up, and there's got Garrison Brothers for $185, Garrison Brothers for $170, Garrison Brothers for $500. It's absolutely astonishing because Garrison Brothers, I wouldn't even want to use it for hand sanitizer.
Well, the thing about it is I did a little research before I got on as well. And I was trying to, because I wanted to be informed, because we're here to educate and to entertain. And I wanted to be positive. And it turns out that the name Garrison extends, it comes out of Texas history, and is what they would refer to back in that area in the mid to late 1700s as horse shit. So that's what it translates to. Garrison means horse shit. So what Pops is referring to is we had a on one of the first craft shoots on one of the Texas fails. And okay, I'm going to pause right here. And Don just posted a comment here. We will call out bullshit when we see it. We will also call out excellent taste. And congratulations, John.
Don just won bingo tonight on the Bourbon Bullshit.
Don, you just won bingo for the evening. Welcome to the club, and go back and buy some more because it seems to be disappearing.
Explain it to everybody that's listening because they can't see the chat.
So OGD 114. Don said he's drinking OGD 114 for the first time. He found it today and said it's very solid. Old Granddad 114, which if I've got to get to Nebraska, if for no other reason than to sit with Brett Atlas and get some Old Dusty from National Distillers of Old Granddad 114. But it's made by Beam. It's the same mash bill as Basil Hayden. Every couple years they talk about discontinuing Old Granddad 114. In fact, was it what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Pops? They said they were going to discontinue it, and the distributor actually told the liquor stores it's going away, and it's coming back as barrel-proof Basil Hayden for $100. And the liquor store here put that on. They bought like 6 cases of it and put it on the cases. This is going away. It'll come back for this much. Buy it now. And it's still around, thankfully.
Thank God.
So anyway, big old Granddad fan. So what were we? I don't even remember where we were.
We're talking about Garrison Brothers.
Garrison Brothers, yes.
And check out Kyle's remark here. And he's got a fair point. They sell out, but that just shows me how much work we have to do with DrinkCurious, right?
It also shows me how stupid people are. And
yeah, but like, Kyle,
People in Texas,
I take the high road, he takes the low ride, cruising for
anything that
comfort.
says Texas on it.
yeah, but Kyle, you can also make a lot of money like selling your feet pics. So like, does that
How
mean
much, Aaron? How much? How much you make, Aaron?
yeah, I mean, just because something is popular doesn't necessarily make it good.
It is disturbing.
I mean, we tried this thing. It was their whatever there was their annual limited release.
Their cowboy bourbon.
Their cowboy bourbon. That's right. And the cowboy bourbon comes with a medal draped around the neck of the bottle, which is there. So, and it's $200. And the medal is there so that you can, take it off of the bottle when you get it and use it to bash the fuck out of whoever paid $200 for this shitty ass bottle of bourbon. So and we tried it. We tried to see if when we were down at Art Eatables in Louisville, trying to see if the chocolate could rescue that bourbon.
No,
it's
it could not.
damn good chocolate, but it could not. So, I don't know who's needing craft whiskey from Texas for $200. It's horse shit. And people might say to us, well, you guys just bash on Texas all the time. You bash on Texas whiskey all the time. It is not true. We have had one winner of the We Would Drink That Again contest from Texas. And we will tell you that the folks from Still Austin are doing stuff a little differently down there, but it's working and they're making some nice things.
I like Iron Root too. And Kyle, I mean, yeah, you're totally right. Like, I mean, if just because we don't like it doesn't mean you're wrong. If you truly enjoy that whiskey, I mean, you live your truth, right? It's just insanely overpriced. And
we're talking about it from a price point.
Right, because the topic was overpriced, right? We can complain about the whiskey, but the fact is it doesn't change anything that it's overpriced whiskey. I mean, you can love it.
Market for everything.
I just feel like things from Texas, Texans are very proud people, and they will continue to consume something that is maybe
Brett,
not as.
What did you say? Massachusetts brisket? What was it?
Right. Yeah. Right. Like not as amazing quality just because it says Texas on it. Like
Texas people have to be proud because nobody else is proud of them.
Yeah, whatever. But
yeah. Well, I mean, Kyle clearly is trying to press our hot buttons, and what I have to say to you, Kyle, because I know that what your agenda is this evening, is that no, it is overpriced, and it has nothing to do about affording it. Because I also tend to believe that New Orleans glasses are overpriced as well.
Yeah.
So are Maseratis.
And Balenciaga shoes.
Yes.
Really, really.
Valencia oranges.
Yeah. Now you're attacking that.
They sell out. And I don't want them. But they're sell out. Oh my God. A Pyrex, actually a rare Pyrex recently sold for like over $20,000.
What in
as in a
dish are you
talking
about? Boom. Yes.
And now she's happy home.
I'm hoping it wasn't one of the ones that had the lead paint in it that they just had to recall a whole bunch of that stuff.
Absolutely. All right. Let's move on here. We've beat that one to death. Let's go ahead and let's talk about fucked up whiskey.
Well, now we're back to Garrison Brothers.
No, Aaron. Aaron, you're on. This is all you.
Oh, okay. Now I know where we're going with this.
She went to go get a prop.
She went to go get a prop.
So we're gonna start with what Bob and I went through first, Aaron. So you can take a hot second.
Because it's gonna take me 8 million years to open this top.
Yeah, good luck. So Bob and I, when we did the craft shoot 2 episodes ago on the podcast, Bob.
Yeah, I think two.
We
two
had
ago.
a sample of. I don't have it handy, but it was basically Tamworth Distilling, right? And it was their Thanksgiving dinner whiskey, a whiskey that was distilled and created to taste like turkey with all the trimmings. And how did you feel about that whiskey, Bob?
How did I feel about that whiskey? I have several years ago, we were opening my new venue for my day job, and we're like an hour and a half before the show, and I went to lift up a stage box and got a hernia, and I was in immense pain. And fast forward to about 6 months ago, I got food poisoning, and I swore I had never been that sick in my life. I had never felt that bad. If you combine those two things, multiply it by 10, it comes to a fraction of how much I disliked this fucking turkey ass whiskey that Pops had me drinking blind. And what the fuck is going on with this shit? So that gives you an idea of my thoughts.
All right. And then we had the other one, I think from the same place. What was it? Was it the musk oil, monk glands, or some sort of beaver glands?
What?
Beaver.
I didn't drink that shit, did I?
No, we didn't drink it, but it's a fucked up idea.
What? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, actually, it's used a lot in like perfumes and things like that. So it's something that's actually probably already in stuff in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a type of beetle is used as a food additive or a food coloring for red, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's a bug."
No, I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah, but this is hold on, it's the Tamworth. My search history is so jacked. Oh my god. Like I was just like cost of CPAC for chlamydia.
And feet pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Starbucks got in a lot of trouble with that one thing.
Castoreum whiskey.
All right. So hey Bob, Steve, Jim wants to know about caramel popcorn peanut butter whiskey.
You know, Jim, I'm actually getting a little pissed because now you're making me hungry. That actually, if I had just some regular whiskey and some caramel popcorn and some peanut butter, whatever the fuck, just combine them all three at the same time, you know.
Jim's just throwing darts.
But I don't want that shit in my whiskey.
I think Jim may be typing while having a stroke, so we got to be careful, guys.
I heard from
right. Aaron,
I heard from Bob's sources that there is a new whiskey coming on the market that is a Rikers Island toilet whiskey. It is made with New York water and Rikers, and it's supposed to be.
It is, but so it is similar to Cleveland whiskey, and that they had to further age it using, wood chips because they had to put it in a plastic bag and age it in a toilet. And they don't have wooden toilets there. So how they got around that was that they have it in a charred new wooden box when they take it out of the prison to bottle it. And that's where the aging comes in to actually classify it as a bourbon. But yeah, that'll be coming out in the third quarter next year. I think, unless they extend the sentence. We're not sure yet.
So, Aaron, I think Tim Beach here has teed you up. Has he not with this comment here?
Yes. So I just spent a long time extracting all of the wax off of the crab trapper. I'm like, so they had the nice
the
little
name alone, like
the pull. They had the little pull, but it was totally encased in wax. So I had to get a knife out, which is never a good idea for me. So I had to rip that off.
Right.
So crab trapper, I've been told. Oh, go ahead, Pops.
No, go ahead. You're doing exactly what I wanted. Sorry, go ahead. Tell us about it.
So crab trapper, they say there's this like variety of green crab up in New Hampshire, like around that area that's super invasive. And they were like, well, how do we help get rid of these, but not, not waste them? And so they distilled this whiskey with a butt ton of small green crabs. And according to them, they say this tastes like a briny fireball. So it's like, I don't know if that's anything that I ever that I wanted to have. But we're going to see. I feel like I'm a little bit biased though, because I know it's made of crabs, but you can
definitely drink it right now. Is that what you're drinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Before
like
you do that, what is how much is a crap ton of crabs, technically speaking?
I don't know. I don't have the press release, but
Are those green crabs edible?
Actually, I think I said butt ton of crab. Did I say
Butt ton, yes.
Ton? Yes, a butt ton. See, that's
Well,
a
depends on
metric
whose butt you're
ton,
using.
standard butt ton, so it's very different. It's a lot. I mean, I don't know
Okay.
how many.
Please,
Yeah.
please go ahead for science, please.
Oh, sorry.
So this tastes like I gotta do it twice.
It's awful. Try it again.
Right here, smell my finger.
Wow.
I think the only reason they say that it tastes like Fireball is because there's like a burn sort of in the back. There's like a little bit of spice.
Did the crabs have crabs?
This is like if you took a pot of water and you boiled crabs in it and just like sprinkled a little bit of Old Bay on it, and then you scooped the water out and let it sit at room temperature, and then you drank that water.
Ah, you sold me.
Yeah. It is it's thin. I wouldn't characterize it as briny. Maybe briny, but like for me, briny is like nice and salty. This is more like, when you walk past like the seafood section at the grocery store, and then you're like, oh, there's a lot of shrimp there, or there's a lot of crab there, or you go to like a big market like that. This just smells, it just kind of tastes like what crab smells like.
Like
Raw.
Times Square in the 80s.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, it's
Well, if you've got some Jefferson's Ocean, maybe you should mix them together, and then you get the full effect.
Would
of
it,
the
how
crab.
about this? Would it be good with like as an accompaniment to like some oysters?
I hate oysters, but sure.
Oh,
I don't think it would listen.
Trying to help this brand here.
This is definitely a gimmicky thing. I really like the rationale behind it. I think what they're doing is cool. They've clearly created a lot of buzz. This is a $3.75 though, and it sells for like $65. So
See,
I did not pay for this, to be perfectly
Well,
honest.
it's novelty, Bob. It's novelty. Nobody's buying it because it's quality. I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a
Hey,
200 ml, not 375.
200 milliliters for $60.
Hey, y'all,
Yeah.
try this.
Fuck you.
You won't want to drink more than 200 milliliters, though.
so Bob, I got a question for you. I was just looking at their website. Is it just a coincidence that their distillery is on Cleveland Hill Road?
That is
Saying.
no coincidence.
That's no
That is
coincidence.
no coincidence, my friend. No, that is not.
So I have to
Wait, what if
give props to Aaron for trying that, because that one was 200% less appealing than the turkey one.
What if I do like a little Old Bay?
If you snort that, Bob will send you $10. Just do a whole line. Do a line of Old Bay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like maybe what if I have like a little bit of Old Bay on there too? Like, what would that be like? I think this might actually be fun.
This is a cocktail editor. She's going to rim her glass with Old Bay.
No, I'm
You
gonna
got
like.
a goldfish cracker you can toss in there too. Give it a little.
Yeah, no, I was
Speaking
really
of,
more. Gonna
have you
like,
had the
know,
goldfish
kinda like
crackers with the Old Bay seasoning?
I have no, I don't have the goldfish ones, but I do have the snacklins, which are the vegan
No.
pork rinds.
The goldfish ones with Old Bay are legit.
Yeah, so I think that what this needs is like, I feel like I need a lemon.
All right. Next topic,
This is insane.
please. Next topic.
This is no.
Now.
The
Hey,
Old
now.
Bay crab trap shooter. There you go.
Jim just woke up,
Next topic.
but Tim,
Can we go to the
Tim's
next
hitting
topic?
gold. I like this. Tim's going to be joining Brent and I and Jim for the trip up to Traverse City. This is going to be good.
Oh, the
like it.
pie hauling trip.
Yeah, the pie hauling trip. Yeah, we're going to bring you back your case of diabetes.
We knew Kyle.
Okay,
we
guys.
knew.
All right, so we're gonna do this for science, right?
All right.
Okay.
Aaron has just
Good
turned into
God.
the sorority girl
All
at the
right.
bar.
So with that, we're just going to move on to the board.
Aaron's reaching for the puke bucket.
It's so nowhere to go with that one. So Bob, your choice. We're gonna pimp our bourbon, or are we gonna go to the circus?
Well,
What?
what do we got? We got 40. Well, let's end at the circus. So let's pimp first. I'm not quite sure what that is, but let's see what that is. Pimp my bourbon for 200.
Oh,
All right. So this is specifically referring to something that we tackled in the podcast a while back. This is when Fred Minnick, one of the industry's leading bourbon knowledge people, is very well known. Lots of people follow him for information. He's a nice guy. Has done a lot for bourbon, but as an influencer, as someone who reviews whiskey, he's had a couple steps lately that have been questionable, in my opinion, at least. And the fact that as someone who's supposed to be independent, he is now running a spirits competition, right? So that's kind of interesting. But then more importantly, he announced that he was doing a deal with Total Wine, which is great for his bottom line, but he was endorsing some single barrel picks at the Total Wine stores. They had his name up on the end caps, and the selections, let's say, were less than stellar, right? So that's the topic.
They weren't single barrels, were they? I thought they were just
No, they weren't single barrels. They were just standard Total Wine only releases, Spirits Direct releases. So stuff.
No, his were specific barrels of those releases.
Were they? Because I
thought it was a general release because they were in every market.
I could be wrong,
There's no way.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
At the end of the day, so we had one of our fucks went into.
Oh, wait, you better remind people what a fuck is.
Well, the fuck, that's the forensic undercover knowledge seekers. The fucks, the Bourbon and Banter fucks, forensic undercover knowledge seekers. So all of you out there think I'm talking dirty, I'm fucking not. So one of our God damn it, Pops. One of our fucks went into a Total Wine and asked to try some of these Fred Minnick picks, and they talked to Pops afterwards directly. And Pops, remind everyone exactly what happened there.
Oh, I mean, I was the fuck that went in. I was the person who went in, and I went in because I went in with the intent of buying some miniatures of the products in question, because I said, before we can talk about it on the podcast, I should actually try the product, right? Give it a fair shake and see what this was all about. And so I went in, and they unfortunately didn't have any airplane bottle, many samples of anything, but they told me that they had several of the products available to try at the sample bar. So they hunted down a gentleman who was kind enough to get the bottles out and pour them for me. But before he even opened a single bottle, he looked at me and he said, "You do realize this guy was paid a lot of fucking money to do this, right?" And I about hit the floor because I was like, holy shit, that's not the typical Total Wine answer that you get.
I appreciate the honesty.
No, I appreciate the honesty. I didn't even have a Bourbon and Banter shirt on, so I wasn't like, giving anything away. And he poured me, he had 2 of the bottles available for me. And they were not very exciting. I mean, they were fine, but they're
unremarkable.
Very unremarkable bourbons. Once again, to my opinion, a little bit overpriced, at least one of them. But there was not anything very exciting about it. And this is where the whole kind of discussion came up with, was that the videos that Fred did, which was available in some of the pages, is they lined up a whole bunch of whiskeys for him, samples, and he tried them and he commented on screen about them. And obviously he was very energetic and very exciting about them. And it was just a really off-brand type of experience, in my opinion, because Fred does have a good palate. He does know bourbon. He's passionate about it, and so when this was done, it begged the question for me of like, was he just totally enamored by the money, therefore questioning his credibility, or was this something where he went into it and the way they brought it all to life is a misguided reaction on the cutting room floor, so to speak? Meaning, like, he went in and did something and the end result wasn't what he's expected. I don't know, but it raises the question, as people grow in this industry, where's the line of where does their credibility start and where does it stop when they do something like this?
I don't have any problem with the money grab, right? Like, make your money. Like, he's obviously got a huge following. I think he's like a New York Times bestseller. Like, he's an accomplished author. He's developed a tremendous brand and a huge following, and
he was featured on a billboard in Times Square.
You know, I mean, like, we're poking fun, but like, he's way above where we are, like, as far as notoriety and things like that, and that's fantastic. And I don't wish any ill will or anything like that. But what I have a little bit of an issue is, like, and again, make your money, dude. Like, if you got paid for this, like, I hope you did, because that's fantastic. But there's a little bit of a disconnect when you're touting a lot of fair to mediocre whiskey and bourbons and labeling them as Minix picks. And then you're also running a spirits competition and you're a judge in San Francisco and things like that. Like, where do we start to believe what's real and what's not? You know, that's my only thing. And it's not a knock, it's a question. You know, like, if you're saying, like, hey, this is a double gold, and that's the winner of the spirits competition in San Francisco, and then you have the Minnick Awards, and these XYZ is winning other awards, and now you're at the end of an end cap in all the Total Wines across the country, or whether it's regionally or not. I know it was here in Indianapolis as well. Like, that stuff is not good, buddy, and it's just not great. It's not even good, most of that stuff.
So first off,
just be transparent. Transparency is all I want.
Yeah. So first off, I'm okay, but like, I'm definitely gonna have heartburn all night, and it's gonna taste like crab.
Just order some crab cakes, DoorDash some crab cakes, and you'll be better.
God, I don't want to eat crab cakes from some place that's serving them at 10 o'clock on a
You know, in these kind of scenarios, I've had this feeling, Aaron, and the best thing for this really is White Castle. So if you can get a sack of cheeseburgers, sack of 10 White Castles delivered.
I only eat Brent's meat.
You only eat what?
I said I only eat Brent's meat.
This is gonna go sideways. Really.
All right. All right. So
it's true. It's true. It's true.
It's true. Brent is an amazing barbecuer. So let's clarify what we're talking about there.
No, I will say though, listen, Fred Minnick is leaps and bounds beyond any like bourbon knowledge I will ever know, because he has dedicated like his life to this, right? I respect him, but yeah, no, totally. I agree with everything that's said, but I do want to make sure that everybody knows that he's very easy to poke fun of. But yeah, no, definitely respect. You know, it's like, don't hate the player, hate the game, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, but once again, it's not the endorsement; it's the endorsement and the quality of the product, and then just the juxtaposition of it with the other thing he's got going. That it's very confusing for me.
We did look at the Minnick page on Total Wine, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll find Elijah Craig, Russell's Reserve, the actual shit that is high quality. It's like, okay, well, there he tried to sneak in some actual redeeming things from this stuff, but
no videos of that, though, unfortunately.
Yeah,
the ones that are at the top of the page are the house brands, though, from Total Wine.
They are all the house brands, yeah.
And the funny thing was,
35 for 175. It's a house.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. If Total Wine backed up the money truck to any of our places, like, hey, I want you to make a video.
I'd send that shit back. I would send that fucking shit back.
You're a liar.
No, I'm absolutely 100% true. I would not take it.
Almost got to pay the rent.
No.
Fuck him in the asshole with a big rubber dick and break it off and beat him with the rest of it.
Wow.
All right. Well,
you haven't seen the check, Bob.
With the last,
seen the check, it might be a good one.
With the last 6.5 minutes, I think we're going to go ahead and hit the. We've got time to hit one more topics here, and I think we're going to go ahead and go where we didn't go the last time, and talk about master distillers.
Can I just say that I'm worried about Jimmy Russell, because I know within like the next decade, I'm going to see that. Well, it's not going to be a headline, but Whiskey Twitter is going to go crazy with Jimmy Russell not being with us anymore. And I'm like stealing myself for it. And I'm very sad about it.
Well, you're optimistic. I feel the same way. He's getting older. He's getting a little more feeble. If we got another 10 years out of him, that would be amazing.
I said within the next 10 years.
I'm not even commenting on this. That's just
yeah. Anyway, let's move on because you don't want to be the person known for crabs and killing Jimmy Russell.
I didn't kill Jimmy Russell.
You threw it in the ether. It's
That's
there.
right.
It's
Yeah.
acknowledged.
Well, I think what Pops was
works.
alluding to here is that, you know, the term master distiller gets thrown around, and we have a lot of friends in the industry. One particular who's incredibly well respected and has been in the industry for decades. It told me, you know, master distiller really is a marketing title anymore. It's not necessary. It's not a working title. It's a marketing title. People are throwing that on there, and they haven't distilled drop one, and they haven't seen anything to, you know, through to the full distillation. Or they're doing some work and then they wind up leaving and they go someplace else. They make a master distiller. They don't stay there because they can't agree with what people who've been doing it for decades leave. It just becomes a gigantic circus, you know. And it's just going off. You know, they're taking their peanuts wherever they can, and they're fucking cotton candy and circus peanuts and whatever the hell, and you know.
Well, I mean, yeah. So here's the thing: you've got people who leave, they go, they start up at a distillery, start doing something, and they get the term from day one, right? That's the problem. Is you go to a distillery and someone's been there all of 6 months and they're called the master distiller. This is an earned title. Technically, you shouldn't be able to call yourself a master distiller. Others have to call you master distiller. And to be fair, we've met quite a few individuals, right? We had the lead distiller at Copper and Kings. He refused the term master. He said, I'm not a master of anything. So he's the lead distiller. We had the gentleman at KO Distilling. Once again, he's not the master distiller in his mind. He's the head distiller. You've got a lot of people like that. But then you have people who take the title and all of the imagery that comes with it, and they decide to embrace it. And they haven't technically earned it. And in fact, they're using the name and they're not actually distilling. They're just blending. And I think that's the fundamental problem that we have in this industry, is that everyone's a different point in their journey. We've talked about this, and we poke a lot of fun at stuff in the Bourbon Bullshit and have a good time with everything. But everybody's at a different spot. So it's no different from a distiller, right? Some people get a distilling job right out of college. They got a lot to learn, and they're humble enough to realize that they're not a master of anything and won't be for a very long time. And then you have other people who are going to take the title, they're going to run with it, and they're more about the glory and being the lead person and less about the actual, doing the work, and they don't stick anything out. So that's, for us, is the concept of really focusing on, have you earned it? And I think there's an interesting shift, is you've got a lot of people now leaving also from jobs and going into roles where they're not a distiller, but they're a blender, right? And they're taking on master blender. To me, it's no different, right? What has made you a master, right? Have you, if you are inside a large company and you've been working there and you've been putting out great products, that's great. But how long have you been doing it for? And are you technically a master blender? Or are you just the head blender? And now, without the big machine, you've got to put out your first product or products. How are those going to hit, right? And I think that's really important, that these things have to be earned. And it misleads the public a little bit when we put some titles around that. And I know it doesn't matter to everyone, but for me, it's a pretty personal thing that things have to be earned.
Well, but I mean, what's the litmus test, right? Like, what are we requiring for someone to be a master distiller? Because that they've been there since they were 18 and doing it 30 years, blah, 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 blah. I think, you can look at the title, in the corporate world of vice president, right? Vice president at some places means a huge deal, right? If you're working in PR, everybody's a vice president. I feel like, everybody's a VP. I feel like it depends on the company that you're in. Again, yeah, it becomes a marketing term. I feel like there's not really a consistent way that we can say you are a master if you hit, what is that face, Bob? You just I feel like you're making a smirk at me.
I'm smirking because of something that came up in the chat. It's not. Oh. That's what I'm smirking at.
Oh, I have a MasterCard. Bad joke. Yeah, I mean, what does that mean, right? I mean, again, this comes with the consistency thing. There's not one spirits competition that rules them all, right? There's not one double gold that rules them all. There's not one master that rules them all. So.
Well, I mean, if you look at the historical precedent, right? It was a master distiller was a distiller that had reached a level of proficiency and experience whereby his peers would determine that they would bestow upon them the term master distiller.
Yeah, but the key word in that sentence was his.
But it doesn't matter. See, I think that's wrong because fine, it historically was his, but now it can be her. So it doesn't matter. It's the fact that your peers deem that you're worthy of it, not yourself.
But remember, these terms are, I mean, these are essentially terms that are given to you by the company that you're with, right? This has nothing to do with like the industry writ large. Certainly it could if everybody got together and was like, this is what this means. But, you know, again, this has everything to do with the company. I mean, I look at this also from just like an HR recruiting perspective that, you know, people love titles, and sometimes for someone to come to a company, they have to have a title. So who knows, like maybe if Brown Foreman, for example, is trying to fill Jackie Zykan's position and and my dog is like growling. So if you can hear that, I'm sorry. They're trying to fill
more crabs.
Yeah, it's my crabs. They're actually just like really mad. You know, trying to fill that position. And they're like, well, you know, we want to start you at like associate blender or whatever, you know, but they're saying, no, I won't come unless it's the master blender title. I mean, what are they going to do if they really want that candidate?
Can a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old distillery have a true master distiller?
If they name it
a craft distillery, can it have a master distiller?
Well, and this is a point, right? I think, Aaron, you've brought up specifically, in my opinion, the problem with this is that when the titles are being applied with no respect for experience or ability, it becomes nothing, which means suddenly that the people who have earned it, the Jimmy Russells, the Jim Rutledges of the world, it diminishes what they've earned and come to associate with the title.
Is there a criteria?
That's my problem with it.
I don't know. I don't think it does, though. I mean, because those are like the greats, right? In any industry, you're going to have like the great people, you know, your Jimmy Russells, your Nose, your Jim Rutledges. Like those are the people who are always going to be kind of like the Hall of Famers. Like that's your Jackie Robinson, right? Like that's your, I don't know. I about said Mickey Rooney. I don't know shit about baseball. Babe Ruth, right? Like your big baseball people, right? Thank you. Sorry. I've now had like, the crab is getting to me. I'm sorry. It's getting into my synapses. You're always going to have your greats, right? But you can't always, especially in an industry that is burgeoned so quickly, you can't necessarily assume that, oh, we're going to then, you know, cut out so many great people at every single distillery now, because now it's expanded so much. There isn't as much expertise now, because before there weren't that many distilleries. So
right, but let me boil it down to is if a distillery brings in somebody that has 1, 2, 3 years of actual distilling experience, should they be called a master distiller just because they're the lead distiller at an organization?
What if they went to Moonshine University?
So sad.
Yeah,
literally,
I mean,
yeah.
Okay. I mean that's the thing for me. And once again, it's just an opinion. For me, I want a master distiller to have a certain level of expertise and quality of product to have earned the title. I think it should be something that comes with time and experience. Head distiller, lead distiller, senior distiller, those are all progression of titles for me. But I want to, we're a little bit over time, so I want to bring this to head for something that I want to put out, because we all have a tremendous amount of respect for Jackie Zykan and what she accomplished at the Old Forester brand. She's moved on to a new endeavor, and we're all kind of curious of what this is going to be like. And because we have our fucks in place who bring us interesting and new information, I have some pretty good feedback on some people who have been given samples of her first whiskey that's coming to market. And I'm afraid I have to share that it is going to be highly questionable. We're going to let everybody have their opinion when they bring it to market. But a lot of the concerns that we exchanged in our group about where they're sourcing the whiskey from are apparently coming to bear, in that the whiskey that she's bringing out as the first release is going to be directly reflective of the source of that whiskey. So once again, I love Jackie. I think she's very talented, but when you're suddenly outside of a large company where all the juice that you're given is high quality, you've got a lot of people supporting you, and you come out on your own, doesn't mean you're not talented, but the work's going to speak for itself. So I'm eager to get my sample, but the people that I've gotten the feedback from are pretty well respected, and I think they're going to have some work to do with that. So once again, my opinion is a master still has to earn it, and if somebody is giving themselves that title without having earned it, it diminishes it for the people who have truly earned it.
If we're lucky, it might be a sample in one of the next Eve's blind picks or packages shipments.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, folks. Well, that has been a lot of stuff that we've covered tonight. And for those of you who have stuck around, I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get some feedback from everybody after this who have watched it live and in the recording. And we will continue to bring you some insightful bourbon bullshit and everything that goes along with it, even crabs, because who knew that was going to happen, right? So once again, thanks, Bob, Aaron, Brent, for hanging out this evening and participating. Always fun. And if you have any ideas or recommendations for the next Bourbon Bullshit Live, please drop us a note in the community and we will make that happen. So on behalf of everyone tonight, thank you very much. And remember, folks, if you're going to drink
DrinkCurious.
Brent's
Thanks for joining. Whatever.
Cheers, guys.